the world without leaving your seat. I am Abiodun Samson, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing right now. In the next 50 minutes, we are going to be exploring exciting destinations, unique cultures, and also the hidden gems across Nigeria and beyond. So whether you're someone that is planning a trip or you just love to travel or you love travel stories, this is your travel companion on radio that will help you to travel smarter, safer, and also with ease.
Travel with ease. Knowledge makes you small free. See the world the smarter way. From visas and flights to places to go. Books that teach you all you should know. We read, review, and guide your way. Learning and travel side by side each day. Oh, travel with ease. Learn it right. Education and travel simplified. Travel with ease. They are now.
Alright, so if you're just tuning in, you are right on time. So I'm welcoming you back because this is your guide to smarter to a stress-free travel. And like I said, that today we will be doing a lot of things. Yes, we want to focus on mistakes that can ruin your trip before you even begin. Yes, it can ruin your trip. And booking a cheap flight without reading the details is what we will be talking about today. And today we'll be breaking it down to the traps of the long layovers, to you trying to say you want to do a self-transfer flight, and also airport changes, and that will show you that when you get something that is cheap, it can equally be very, very expensive at the end. So I want you to stay with us till the end for this hour, and you will know how to book smarter. You can also learn how to save money and to avoid stress. But before I dive into that, I got some WhatsApp messages pertaining to the transit visa shock that was treated last week on WhatsApp, and I would like to share a few of it before we continue because I know it might help one or two people so they would understand. So this is coming from place of people that have the experience, and you know, that they felt okay they should share this so people in that kind of situation would not make such mistakes. So I'll just take like 3 of the messages that I got. So this is one of the message that says that he said that once, okay, he said this person is saying, this is from Tunji from Makwata. He said, I once booked a cheap flight to Canada with a stop in Germany. He said, I did not know I needed a transit visa because I was not leaving the airport. And he said that at the airport in Lagos, I was told I could not board. So he lost the ticket. So he said that what he learned that it's always good to check if the visa you have has transit visa rules before you paying for any flight. Is very, very important so that they won't end your journey at the international airport. And this person that I got is also, this one is talking about a self-transfer problem, and we'll be dealing with that this afternoon on the program on the booking the cheapest ticket, thinking it is the best way out. So let me take this WhatsApp. He said, good afternoon, I booked a self-transfer flight through Europe because it was cheaper, and my first flight was delayed and I missed the second one. I had to buy another ticket. So this person is saying it is always good to avoid what we call self-transfer flights unless you have enough time and you have proper visa clearance. And it's always good that you have peace of mind when you book your tickets or when you are having your visa. You should know. Ask the simplest questions, the simplest details. You should read them because it's important. And this is coming from Peace from Ring Road. And the other one that I have is this person has airport change confusion. That was his own problem. He said that he booked a flight to the United States with a stop in the New York City. And this person did not realize that he's arriving at JFK and he is departing from Newark Airport. So this person had to pass through immigration and this person needed a visa. And these are experiences that taught this person a lesson that it is always good that you always check your airport code, not just the city name. Don't just be excited that you're going. Make sure you check all of these tiny details, because it will help you to avoid shock, help you to avoid unnecessary expenses, and also help you to travel smarter and safer. So that is the one I'm going to take for the WhatsApp message. When I come back, I shall dive into today's topic, which is cheap flights and the eating cost that is eating that you never know. It's still Travel with Ease on JDN Radio 101.5 FM, the only radio station that is broadcasting for all.
See the world this smarter way. From visas and flights to places to go. Books that teach you all you should know. We read, review, and guide your way. Learning and travel side by side each day. Oh, travel with ease. Learn it right. Education and travel simplified. Travel with ease. Day or night. Your trusted voice on radio. Your trusted voice on radio. With Abiodun Samson on the mic. Every Wednesday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. Travel with ease. Your education and travel simplified. Travel with ease. Stress-free journeys. Your education and travel.
Alright, welcome back. It's still Travel with Ease on your dial 101.5 FM. And today we want to talk about cheap flights and eating costs. Yes, cheap flights and eating costs. You booking a cheap flight without reading the details. Yes. And the moral of this and why I want to look at this is that when you think something is cheap, it can be very, very expensive on the ground and you might never know. So when we talk about booking cheap flights, you know, many travelers, most of the things they focus on is one thing when booking their flights. They are focused on the price. Yes, you know, they make sure they sort from the lowest to the highest and they make sure they click the cheapest options. Yes, I know it's very good to, you know, try to safeguard your money so you don't spend excessively just because you want to travel. But the funniest thing is that what looks affordable on the screen that you're seeing that this is very good, I can book from here and it actually costs me less, so it's actually good to go, can turn into what we call stress, can turn into what we call missed flights, can turn into what we call extra payment or even a denied boarding of you getting on the plane. So today we want to be exposing the eating cost behind a cheap ticket. The eating cost behind a cheap ticket. Though they tell you that this ticket is cheap, you see it there, you picked it yourself. You know, when we pick things online, they give us terms and conditions, yes. But one thing I find out that people do not do is that they don't have the time to read the terms of agreement. They just feel, let me just scroll down and pick the button that I agree, then I can move on to the next. But you don't know that anything you agree on, whatever happens, you have already agreed to it. So most people do not read all of these instructions, and it's very, very important. So if you are picking a cheap ticket, they would have given you the rules that you are going to have 24 hours layovers, that you will be needing a transit visa for these, you know, everything would have been written about. The fact that the price, you know, caught your attention and you feel it's going to be the best for this journey, you just pick it. So what are the common mistakes that we make? And we book this cheap ticket, and at the end of the day it becomes like 3 times the price we were expected to pay, because we think the other ticket we're supposed to get is quite expensive. Now when we are choosing, we find out that we choose long layovers. We just feel I just have to be in the airport just for 4 hours or just for 5 hours. Not only maybe there might be a delay that might keep the flight grounded at the airport and they won't be able to move for those hours. Unforeseen circumstances do happen. Yes, they do happen. But when it comes to you booking the right ticket, when all these circumstances happen, that means everything will be on the airline because it is not what you prepared for, and they would have made a preparation in case something happened. So we make mistake of picking the a ticket that has the long layovers, the one that have the self-transfer flights, and also airport changes in the same city that you don't even know if the airport you are stopping and you are taking your next airplane in another airport. You don't even know anything about the city, and you don't even know if you need an immigration clearance before you go into the other airport to continue your journey. And also, we don't read the full details. Now, what most people check is they check the price, they check the departure time, they check the arrival time, and they ignore if they need a transit visa requirement. They ignore the layover duration. They ignore the baggage rules. They ignore the airport transfer logistics. Yes, we have airport transfer logistics. And this is where the problems start. Okay, I had an experience in the year 2000 and is it 15? No, 2013. I was actually thinking from Lagos, I was going to Uyo. So I was like packing some of my things. I never knew that I'm supposed to carry a 20 kg, for my flight that day. So what happened was I carried my normal 20 kg. Then I have these big bags. I've bought a lot of things. I never know I'm going to cargo it with another airplane. So when I got to the airport, I was thinking I'm just going to check in like that. So they were like, I have to cargo that I won't be going with my normal plane, and I had to go with my luggage will be going with Harik Airline. And then it's dawned on me that what is happening. Then I wasn't even planning. I wasn't planning that I had to spend extra money. So I had to keep calling that I had to move from Lagos to Uyo. That how am I going to do that? And what I'm carrying is even more than it. Then they were like, why don't I even go there and get it there? So it was like I have to just move that luggage. So I have to work with two airlines at that time. As I'm working with Arik, I was working with another airline that would take me down to Uyo and all of that. So then it's a kind of thing that I didn't check all of that, and it was a great mistake on my part, and I was just there dumbfolded, and I had to put some other people on stress of getting cash flow and making everything work together. So at times when we make these mistakes and we do not read all of these things, it's kind of affect us mentally at the airport, and you start looking, and that airport is not a friendly place. It's not a place you said, hi, please let me hold my bag, I want to use the restroom. It's a very place that though it looks very friendly, you see a lot of people, but then you still have to be careful. So those are the few mistakes, because airport transfer logistics is where I got my experience. I was like, no, if I'm traveling next time, I'll make sure I check the amount of kg I'm supposed to carry, so I don't carry more than that, so I don't get to pay excess. Or if somebody is telling me that, okay, let me get this, let me get that, you need to calculate what you are going with, if it is more or less. So that is the first common mistake we make when booking a flight. Let's take a moment.
Now education and travel simple. Travel with ease, stress-free journey. Your education and travel simplified. Travel with ease, knowledge needs to story. See the world a smarter way.
So we still continue on this, the mistakes that we make when we're booking our tickets. We do not check every other information, and we just felt it's cheap, but then it's quite expensive at the end. So now imagine me that I've already booked my ticket, and I felt it's the best way. But I didn't consider my logistics. I did not consider that. I only considered the money for the ticket, and it was quite something that if I had picked the normal, going on the normals, it would have even, accommodate the other kgs I'm carrying, and I wouldn't have paid extra for that. Okay, so the next one that we make is the long layovers. Yes, the long layovers. How? When we say a layover, is the waiting time between connecting flights. Some cheap ticket comes with 10 hours, some come with 15 hours, and some come with 24 hours layovers. They come like that. 24 hours layovers. And why is this layovers? Why are they risky? Now, you might stay for a layover and you may not know that you need a transit visa. Yes. And the airport lounges, they cost money. Yeah, for you to stay there, for you to, like, you're hungry and you need to get something to eat and all of that. It's quite expensive. And their food and Wi-Fi are expensive. And you can get exhausted. Yes, when you are standing for too long doing nothing, your body will become restless, and it's not a familiar place. So imagine you putting yourself through that mental, emotional torture just because you wanted a very cheap flight that will give you like 15 to 24 hours layovers, because you're saving the money that you can actually use to actually take care of yourself. So, and the risks of missing your next flight is also there. Now, let's say you now get a place at the lounge in the airport, and then what happens? You sleep over and you forgot your flight. They will announce it and then you forgot and the flight leaves and you have to pay for another ticket entirely. You can see that it can be very, very tiring. And you can see that if something is cheap, there is still an eating cost that you need to pay. Even in Freetown, there is nothing that free. And there is nothing that cheap, because you still have to pay for it. Now, let's say someone is going from Lagos to Canada, get a Canada ticket, and the person is passing through Europe. When you pass through Europe, yes, it looks cheap, but it has what we call a 19-hour layover. Yes, I was getting that from a friend. He said it was 19 hours and it was not funny. Yeah, it was not funny. And you have to pay. Now, when he got there, he has to pay for airport meals. He has to possibly book an hotel, for him to rest his head, towards that time. And the funniest thing, he needs to also apply for a transit visa. So when you see a cheap flight may not be cheap as you've seen it on the screen where you are booking it, but then might be quite expensive. So those are the hidden things that are there that you may not know. Let's take a moment.
Knowledge me pissed up. See the world the smarter way. From visas and flights to places to go. Books that teach you all you should know. We read, review, and guide your way. Learning and travel side by side each day. Travel with ease, learn it right.
If you're just tuning in right now, you are right on time, because it's still Travel with Ease on your dial 101.5 FM, JDN Radio, the only radio station that is broadcasting for all. And we are situated at 1 Church Street, Joyce B Road, Okeado, in the city of Ibadan, Nigeria, the Pacesetter State. And you can join us live on our social media platform on Facebook, on JDN Radio 101.5 FM, and also on YouTube, JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And also on our website on www.jdnradio1015.com. And you can also feel free to download Radio Garden and just search for JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And I'm also live on TikTok as Travel with Ease. On TikTok, there you can get information and you can be part of the conversation this afternoon. Have you booked a ticket and you felt it's the cheapest that you can ever book, but then there are some hidden cost that you never knew might have happened? So that will be taking me to the next point that we will be looking at, which is a problem that can actually trap people when they book a cheap flight. Yes, it can trap you. It can trap you in a way that you felt like, what is happening? There are some circumstances that happens that we never thought it's going to happen, but then it happens and it is what it is, and you just have to move past it. So this is the problem of the self-transfer flight. Yes, it's not as if an airline is transferring you to another airline to continue your journey. You are the one responsible at this point. Now, this is one of the biggest trap people face when they book cheap flights. Yes, self-transfer means that you are responsible for moving from one flight to another. And there is one clause that people do not read, is that airlines are not connected together. They are not connected. You are doing my business, I'm doing my business. Flight A is doing his business, flight B is doing his business. You understand? So if your first flight is delayed, okay, the second airline will not wait for you. No, they're not going to wait, because they would be running off schedule if they should be waiting, because it's not like it's a partnership business or something, but it's not as if it's the same airline that you'll be connected to. So those are the hidden costs you might not know. So you might lose your ticket during that process, and you may have to buy another one. And why is self-transfer flight, why is it dangerous? It is dangerous because there is no baggage transfer there. Yes, it does not involve baggage transfer. And you must collect and recheck your luggage. Very, very important. And you may need a visa to enter the country. And for you to be doing self-transfer, that means no protection if you miss your connection. There is nothing protecting you. And so many travelers do not understand this before booking. They don't. They just felt that it's very cheap, and I just want to book this flight and all of that, and I just felt it's one of the best things that could happen. So we've talked about few problems, the hidden things that you never know that comes from booking a cheap flight. Yes, from booking a cheap flight. So I've talked about self-transfer flight. I've talked about long layovers that you never know, and I talked about the common mistake people don't know, and one of the one I made mention was the airport transfer logistics, that you didn't see it coming, but you've already packed the old thing you needed, but thinking that everything is going to take you on that cheap flight, but then you have to pay extra. I still travel with you on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And to be part of us on this conversation this afternoon, you can call into the studio line on 07048 001015 and 080-2210-2163. 07048 001015 and 080-2210-2163 is the number to call to be part of the conversation. And for WhatsApp messages, you can drop your WhatsApp on 091-320-69135. 091-320-69135. You have an experience you want to share with us on this particular, on booking cheap ticket, or you've had one. I've shared my own experience that I was thinking is just a smart way to pack everything I wanted to move to Uyo, but then when I got there, I found out that I need to work between two airlines, and it was not funny at all. So the program is still Travel with Ease on JDN Radio 101.5 FM.
Travel with ease, planet travel. Education and travel simplified. Travel with ease, day or night. Your trusted voice on radio. Yeah. With Tabio Don Samson on the mind. Every Wednesday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. Every with peace, now education and travel simple. Travel with ease, stress-free journey. Your education and travel simplified. Travel with ease, knowledge means discovery. See the world a smarter way. Travel with ease. Yeah, yeah. Open your mind, see the world with ease. Learn as you travel, travel with peace. Oh, travel with peace. Stress-free journey. Your education and travel simplified.
Alright, it's still Travel with Ease on JDN Radio 101.5 FM broadcasting for all, and we are still on talking on this topic. Yes, on this topic, cheap flights and the eating costs that it's comes with it. And I will be moving forward to be talking about airport changes. Yes, that is another eating thing you do not know. Another eating thing you do not know. Another eating thing. Now, we have some cities, they have multiple airports. Yes, they have multiple airports. Now, for London, they have Heathrow and Gatwick. And New York has JFK and Newark. Now, a cheap ticket may land you in one airport and depart from another. Do you understand? A cheap ticket may land you in one airport and depart from another. So now you must have to pay for your transportation, spend 1 or 2 hours in traffic. Possibly you need to pass through immigration depending on your location. Now, if your time is short, you may miss your next flight. Now, if you are getting a ticket that would drop you in Heathrow and the next one will be at the New York City. Now imagine you were unable to even navigate yourself in getting the vehicle that would take you to the next destination. That means you will be missing that flight. That would lead you to buying another ticket there, as soon as possible. You just need to buy it, and then you just have to pay extra. Now, the money you were thinking you were saving, you've actually spent extra. Yes, you've actually spent extra on that. So those are the things we do not understand when we book a cheaper flight. Now, let's do some comparison. Yes, comparison is important. At times when you see something that is very cheap and you see something that is expensive, you tend to start saying, oh, is it A or B? You start thinking. You're not so sure which side you should fall into. Yes, now, let's say that you get a cheap ticket and it has a lower base fare and it has 18 hours layovers. You can do self-transfer on your own. You can change your airport. At first, when you said I can change airport on my own, it sounds like a good experience. But my dear, it is not, because you don't have any protections. Now, let's say it involves a transit visas and you do not have anything to cover you, and you don't even have experience of what is going to happen in that airport. You don't even know your way out. No, I was just remembering I did something on the flip side of travel, and someone gave me a voiceover, and he said that when he got to, is it Benyam or something, he said that instead of him to just take a small scooter to the other place, that he had to walk. That it's not as if it is that long, but he felt that it's not that far. Let me just walk through. But what he didn't know is that it was very cold out there. Yes, and he's not properly dressed. It's not as if he's not on gloves or anything, but it's not as thick as it's supposed to be. So even before him getting to that place, he's already freezing. And what he would have just do is to use their normal scooter that they use in the airport and just get there in 5 minutes. Now, if you don't have that experience, what do you think it's going to happen? Now, somebody that the health is not strong, you'll be opening yourself to some kind of dangerous hazard that might injure you or your health at the end of the day. So it is very important that you do your calculations before booking for the cheap ticket. Now, let's say that I'm still back to doing the real cost comparison of all of these. Now, when we say that a cheap ticket, the options is that it has 18 hours layover and it has a self-transfer, airport change, self-transfer, airport change, and the extra cost is not that minimal. The extra cost you're going to face there is visa, airport transfer, your feeding, risks of missed flights, extra baggages fee, and when you are kind of said, okay, I'm not booking for a cheap ticket. I'm just looking for a ticket that would go with my plan, and I'm not going to have an hassle on the way. Now, this one will be slightly high, now higher than a cheap ticket. and this one might give you 2 to 4 hours layover, and it's going to be the same airline connection. Yes, so if you are going with airline that is named B, the next airline that will pick you is still B, because they'll be operating between the same airport. Yes, now if you pick a cheap ticket that their connecting points, one is at airport C and one is at airport Z. Now imagine your distance from airport A to airport Z might cost you to miss your flight. So that is the things you need to consider, not just the price, not just the cost, your safety, your emotional balance, your everything. It has to be in consideration. And when we are talking about a smart ticket, you know, the airline connection, your baggage transfer is automatically done. There is less stress, there is less risks, there is better travel experience, and sometimes paying $150 more saves you $500 in problems. Yes, paying $150 more save you $500 in problem. Now I'm going to be giving you some smart booking strategy that you need to do when booking your ticket. It's still Travel With Ease on JDN Radio 101.5 FM, and I want to say special thanks to those that are joining us on TikTok. Yes, we have the best. We have Mr. Olaoluwa is also joining us. We have Commander CH here on TikTok, and I will be checking on Facebook if we have any comment there. Do not forget that the number to call to be part of the conversation is 07048 001015 and 08022102163. It's still Travel With Ease, where we are letting you know that there are real eating things when you go for cheap flight tickets.
Your education and travel simplified. Travel with ease. Knowledge meets prosperity. See the world a smarter way. Open your mind, see the world with ease. Learn as you travel, travel with ease. Travel with ease, stress-free journeys. Your education, travel simplified. Travel with ease, knowledge meet wisdom. See the world the smarter way. From visas and flights to places to go. Books that teach you all you should know. We read, review, and guide your way. Learning and travel, side by side each day. Travel with ease, learn it right. Education and travel simplified. Travel with ease, day or night. Your trusted voice on.
All right, welcome back, and now we want to talk about the strategy. You know, everything is all about strategy. You need to have a good strategy so you don't get stranded. Yes, you need to have a good strategy, and it's very, very important. Now, let's look at your smart booking strategy. Now, before you book in any flights, the first thing you need to check is the layover duration. The layover duration, it's very important. Yes, the layover duration. An ideal connection that will help you without stress is 2 to 4 hours for international layovers, and 1.5 hours to 3 hours for domestic, that if it's within Nigeria. And if it's too short, if the duration is too short, it's very, very risky. If it's going to be 30 minutes between flights, because you might not know what might happen, you know, within the next 4 to 5 hours, things can get resolved. And 1.5 hours to 3 hours, things can also get resolved on time. So when the time is too short, it's going to be very risky for you. And when it is too long, it's going to stress you mentally even before getting to your destinations. So it is very, very important. And another thing you need to look out for your strategy is the transit visa requirements. And this is what we treated last week. your transit visa requirements. Yes, what are the things you need to check as well? Always check, does the transit country requires Nigerians to have a visa? You need to check. There are some information that we do not read. Even when we have an application and they give us the terms and conditions for us to agree, the only thing we think is just that I just want to proceed with this application. We don't read the terms, and it applies to even when we are reading documents and things online. So we just felt it does not really matter. What matters is for me to pay and do all of that. But then you need to read all these tiny informations. They are the ones that will let you see what is hidden behind the cheap flight that you are planning, or you are thinking of booking next week, this night, this evening, right after this program. You should think about it. Yes. And will you change terminals? You need to know, am I changing terminals? Immediately you click it to show you some other information to where tickets are being booked. So never assumed. Yes, because you are not there. You don't work at the dock and you don't know what is happening. So it is the information that you were given, you hold on to as an evidence that this is what I was told and why is something happening. And that is when you can say, oh, you want to sue, you want to do this, you want to do that. You understand? So never assume. Yes, it's important that you do not assume. And also, make sure you check that, is it the same airline or same alliance? Yes. Is the airline, are they the same airline that you'll be connecting with, same alliance? You need to know. So if they are not working together or they are not connected in any way together, it will be very hard if one has a problem, maybe a delay that is a delay and unforeseen circumstances happens at the airport and the other flight you're supposed to connect to is not coming up. Maybe it's supposed to be a 1 hour layover, and when you got there it's more than 1 hour and requires you to pass through immigration because the next connecting flight is not forthcoming. Yes, and a lot of questions will be asked and you need to protect yourself. So do not assume. If you'll be changing terminals, you need to check because all of this information are always beneath when you are picking any cheap ticket online. So the next one you need to check is that the airport code. It's important. The airport code. Yes, the airport code. Heathrow has their code. They have their own code. New York City, they have their code. So you need to be familiar with this code. Don't just pick a cheap ticket because it's cheap and it's a fast one for me to just book this flight. Yes, don't do that. Make sure you read every tiny information that is needed. So make sure you confirm your code, the airport code. Every airport you see, they have their code when booking your tickets. Yes, so let's say we have for example, we have like 4 international airports in Oyo State, Nigeria, and you are even thinking which one. So if one is where it is in Alakia and we have another one in another location, let's say in Okeado and Viros, and imagine you taking your first flight in Okeado and you are connecting with another one in Alakia, and then on your way when you get to Dugbe and there was traffic and you try to pick a bike and every road there are gridlocks and no one is moving and you have a 30-minute flight, what are you going to do? And that is why this information is important for you this afternoon on the program Travel with Ease on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. So it's important that you protect yourself. Now all of this protection is not as if it's hidden, but it's just that we don't really take our time to read out all of this information. So you make sure you confirm your airport code. Are you arriving and departing from the same airport? Is important. If the code is B1025, make sure that are you landing there? Are you connecting in the same airport? Yes, you need to know. And for every airport they have the domestic and the international and all of that. And make sure you don't rely on the city name alone. Don't rely on the city name alone. You just know you're going to United States, but you don't know the particular airport that you are going to. The only thing you know that I'm going to United States and that is where I'm going to. Every other information, it's none of your business, and it's supposed to be your business because it is part of the journey and experience that you need to have. And finally, your baggage policy, like what happened to me. Yes, what happened to me at the airport. We have some cheap fare, but they don't include checking in your baggage. They don't include it, and they would not put it there until you get there. No, they put it there, but then you were like, it's going to take like 50 kg and all of that, because you have the idea of the formal flight, how it's supposed to be, and you felt like, this cheap one, I am going to so go for it. But then you find out that you have to pay for your baggage yourself, and they charge high airport baggages fee if it's going to be your cheap flight. Their airport baggage fee are always very high. So the most important thing is that you should read before paying. And that is why we say school is not a scam at the end of the day. You just have to read everything word for word and know that this is actually happening. It's still Travel with Ease on your dial 101.5 FM, JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And we have few minutes to go, because I have in less than 7 minutes. I will be off on the program, so you can drop your comment on Facebook, on YouTube, and you can also send WhatsApp message on 091-320-69135. Hello? Hello? Hello. All right, so if you try 07048001015 and it's not connecting, you can try 08022102163 is the number to call. If you try 07048001015 and it's not connecting, you can try 08022102163. And we can hear your own part of the conversation on what do you think about booking a cheap ticket? Do you think it's safer, or do you think the hidden cost is not what you were expecting? Yes, let's take a moment.
101.5 FM, travel with ease. Your education and travel simplified. Travel with ease. Stress-free journeys. Your education and travel simplified. Travel with ease. Knowledge meets prosperity. See the world a smarter way. Open your.
Hello. Hello, are you there? All right, so I think the network is not kind of friendly this afternoon, so we would be expecting your comment because our time is far going. Yes, it's far going. So in the next 4 minutes, I will be rounding off on the program this afternoon on the Travel with Ease on talking about baggage. So why do people fall for cheap flights? Why? You're just asking yourself the question, why? Even the person you didn't expect to go for a cheap flight, they go for it. Why? You know, one of the point that happens to people is that the urgency of them needing a flight, you know, at that point, let me just book it, I know that is done, you know, the budget pressure that they have on them, and you know, lack of information like this help people to book a ticket that would still be more expensive than the usual that is supposed to go for, and the travel agent not explaining in details to them. You know, they need to explain why they are booking this, why they will have the layovers, and why all of that would happen. Should be explained to travelers. Hello. 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 Ekaso. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Kò sí wàhálà, nọ́mbà tó máa ń pè lórí prógrámù yẹn ni kẹ́ send message sí, ṣé ti gbọ́ mà?
Eléyìí náà la kò enjoy yẹn.
Rárá, nọ́mbà tó máa ní kẹ́ send account number yín sí, òun ni kẹ́ pè, kẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀, kò ń ṣe nọ́mbà ilé. Ẹ ṣé gan mà. All right ma. Yes ma. Alright, it's still Travel with Ease, your education and travel simplified on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And I was talking about why people fall for cheap flights. Why do they fall for cheap flights? Now, one of the problems is urgency, budget pressure, lack of information, travel agent not explaining in details, and excitement that I'm going. Finally, it is done. God has done it. And you are so excited, but then you never tend to read all of this information, then you start claiming that it's the village people. And also, airlines and booking platforms highlight the low prices first. They highlight the low prices first. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, good evening. Your name and where you're calling from?
Good afternoon.
Good
I'm
afternoon.
Dele by name.
Okay.
I want to tell you why people fall for cheap flights.
Okay, all right, I'm with you.
My personal experience in Nigeria.
Hmm.
I never knew it is not, the prices of flights is not based on amount.
Hmm.
I tried to apply for flights to Abuja.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that there was something called above the cloud and below the cloud.
Hmm.
So the one I took was below the cloud, which means it's going to take me another 25 minutes more than the one that is above the above the cloud. So
Okay.
eventually I got there late.
Hmm.
Those were the small details that people don't consider while
Wow.
booking flights.
Hmm.
So sometimes it might be an issue of above the cloud and below the cloud flights.
All
So
right.
that one will determine the amount of price that you're going to invoke.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Mr. Deli. It's highly appreciated. All right, you got a contribution. He said we have the above the cloud and below the cloud. So their prices are different. And I know you'll be thinking what is above the cloud and below the cloud. Time is no longer on our side. So I will talk about that next week. And probably, I've not really round off on this. And we would, take some of your questions and all of that next week. And on that note, I want to say special thanks to Yeye Bisiduro Sharo, Joy Akinlolu, Aisha Toyedede, and OLABODE, MAKINWA, and also to my studio manager, BOLADE, OSHO, and for the social media, Samuel and Abib, Olatundu and Emmanuel. That's a very big thank you. And to everyone that has been part of the program this afternoon, Mr. Dele and everyone that has been listening, picking one or two things on our social media, Mr. Olaoluwa, MD Best, and everyone that has been there, showing us the support and everything that is needed. We say we appreciate you for this afternoon. I remain our Abby or the Samson till I come your way next week, Wednesday, as we conclude on cheap flights and the eating cost. Keep tuning in and keep it locked down to JDN Radio 101.5 FM, the only radio station that is broadcasting for all. Bye.